Hi, cuties. So, welcome to my channel. It's your girl, Jem. I wanted to do a quick video on some different types of jobs that I've had while being a curvy woman, different variations of curvy, at times plus size. I'm more mid size now, but and how I was able to have quote unquote pretty girl jobs, quote unquote skinny girl jobs. I did often find myself working in environments where I was like the only plus size person there. Um, and what it was, I think, about me that allowed me to sort of break through those barriers. So, first off, the reason why I have always had jobs that were more focused on the aesthetic of like what I looked like is because I'm into performing arts. So, if you're a singer, a model, an actress, etc., you're naturally going to have a lot of focus on your looks. Your aesthetic is part of what you're selling. It's why you get a role, things like that. And so that just kind of came with the territory. That did stress me out all of my life because I felt like um, in the past I would feel like I'm not good enough or they're not going to choose me because I'm different or whatever. I had been a professional singer and music entrepreneur and voice teacher for many years. That was my first full out big real career, like adult career. And I did that for many, many years until more recently I started moving over the last few years, about 5 years ago. I started moving away from that and into creating content on the internet, being a creator, making income from internet sources, as well as I had become a professional bartender. So if you are working in bartending, serving, nightlife, um, anything like in that arena, again, it's the same thing. It's very focused on the aesthetic. So for me, I have some coffee here. I felt a lot of resistance to being a bartender as well because I knew, bartending is a pretty girl job. I knew that most bartenders are fit or more slim type of bodies. I could feel that at some points people were discounting me for a particular type of bartending job because of my size or whatever it might be. And so I definitely had my own limiting beliefs to overcome there as well. Obviously, having a creative career on the internet, I consider myself a curve model, all that stuff. It's all kind of the same thing. You get pigeonholed or people have images of what they want. And, you have to face a lot of rejection. You have to face being confident no matter what anybody says or does. And if you can do that, you can overcome, I think, pretty much any hurdle. There's no hurdle I have seen that either I haven't overcome myself or other people that I admire have not overcome. So if you have a dream of being something that is focused on the aesthetic, whether it be something like a bartender or a stripper or a dancer, or if you want to do something in the performing arts, like being a model or a singer or something like that, um, all I can really say, I think, in this video is just that I never let the negativity get to me ultimately. I think sometimes it slowed me down and I would question myself, but and then I would find myself somehow in some way manifesting whatever job it was I wanted. And what was really cool was I kind of felt like once I got into the job, because of my personality and my character and my work ethic, I was always able to rise to the top. So even currently, I am a bartender here in Las Vegas, and I am head bartender. So, I got my promotion, and my role is kind of a crossover role between being a bartender and being a manager, and kind of the way that my company now calls it is a lead. So, lead or head bartender. I was pretty proud of that because I have seen throughout the history of my bartending career over the last 5 years that head bartender positions have only been given to men typically. It is very rare to see a female head bartender. And sometimes I would learn about different, really like nostalgic or famous bars and clubs and things like that. I would read about them. And I remember one time reading about how their head bartender was a female and how amazing that was. So it isn't that common. I'm not sure why. The bartending world is a very, it's an amazing career. And it requires a lot of skills. I mean, it's not just being good with people, and it's not just making good cocktails and good drinks, which is really kind of an art in and of itself, but it is a bit of being like a showgirl. It's definitely a bit of being out there, being seen, being, tipped for your personality, your beauty, things like that. So I've taken a lot of pride. I was shocked that my career took that transition into bartending. I've been shocked at my career here on the internet. I've been shocked to be able to make good money doing these things. I know when I was a singer back in the day and I was thinking about taking a break from singing to try other things such as modeling and things like that. It was a really scary transition for me because I didn't know if I could find a way to make money any other way. The only way I had ever made a living for myself was through singing and music and all that. And that's what my degrees are in. I have a master's degree in music. So it was a really scary leap and it was really challenging for me, especially because people kept saying to me things like, well, you can't model and you can't be a professional bartender and you can't, you know, do things that are related to the aesthetic. And the reason they would give to me is because of my age or because of my weight or because of the way I looked. And come to find that as long as I kept my mindset correct, and focused and held my head up high and was like a confident queen, I was able to get every single thing that I really, really wanted in my career. And there's another place I really want to work, but sometimes I'm not sure if I want to work there because sometimes I think it might be a little bit too to the left of what I represent. But one of the places I've always wanted to work is a place called Starlet's in Queens, New York. It's a strip club, but I consider it a more moderate strip club. Like when I went there, I didn't see any nudity. I didn't see any VIP rooms, nothing like that. It was just girls dressed super hot, super sexy. The prettiest girls in New York work there with the most banging, curvy bodies. And so, one day I would love to bartend there, even if it was just for, a fun night or, something like that. But I'd be open to taking like a full-time job there as well at some point if the stars aligned. But I don't think I would enjoy a lot of nightlife and like strip clubs, but I think that Starlet's and a few of the other clubs in the Queens area of New York are really, really special and definitely more my tea. It was just like a really fun environment. Anyway, so that's kind of been my experience. I think when you combine, having a cool personality and you have competency, in what you're doing, if you're a musician, if you're a bartender, if you're a dancer, like to really become competent and fantastic and amazing at what you do. I take pride in every aspect of my different jobs, and I'm always working on becoming more competent and better at it, creating something even more beautiful than before. So I think being competent is really important. And then, I always say my favorite coworkers or being a lead at my job now, who are the people I like to work with? People that are kind or have a cool personality, people that are competent, and people that are hardworking. So I'm definitely that girl. Like I'll come a little early, I'll stay a little late. If there are extra little things that I can do, to help the team or whatever, to support my bosses, I will probably do it. And so, when you combine all of that, when it comes to personality and kindness and things like that, I'm in some pretty tough industries. You have to be a real tough cookie to do well and to survive the criticism and the cattiness and stuff like that. So, I've learned my own strategies for coping in competitive environments. And so I tend to be a lot more quiet these days and I tend to move in more silence. But it is really nice, especially, when I meet people that I think are good people, to share with them my kindness and my personality. If I really, feel someone's not a good person, I'll tend to keep my distance from them. But I've really learned, like, I'm not afraid to show my personality and to show my kindness to people that I really love in the workplace. And so that has helped. But my advice is just not to really listen to anybody. What I find is that people push their own limiting beliefs and fears onto me. So it's like, well, just because you couldn't, do this at your age or the way that you look doesn't mean that I couldn't. Okay. We are very different people. We have a very different vibe. I can command a certain kind of success in my life in certain areas that you don't understand. And so I've had to learn, like, it's very sad because probably the worst haters I had and the people that were the most jealous and put me down because I think, it's not, this is the thing is like, there's not everybody lives like an exciting life like I live. I've traveled the country by car. I've bartended in New York City. I bartend now in Vegas. I create content on the internet and I've been being paid for it for years. Like, there's just so many my life is very exciting and I do what I want to do. If I was not happy in something, I would just let it go and I would find something that made me happy. And, luckily my career's been lucrative enough that I've even when I just felt tired and wanted to take time off, wanted to take several months off or whatever just to rest, I've been able to do that. So, sometimes people get jealous because they didn't really choose to go all in and full out on their dreams. Um, the way I've done my career, just rest assured that everything I've chosen to do, it's because I really wanted to do it. If I didn't want to do it, I didn't do it. And I always did everything in my career in the way that feels good to me, in a way that honors my values, in a way that I feel presents me in a more classy way, which is definitely my personality. So I just felt, yeah, I was very disheartened by that. Like, so, just like girlfriends feeling the need to like call me up on the phone and be like, just so you know, because of X, Y, or Z, you are not going to make it. You're not going to make money as a model. You're not going to be able to bartend at these, swanky places or whatever. And it was just none of it was true. It was again their insecurities and the fact that maybe that they couldn't do that. Yeah, that's true for you. You probably couldn't do that. You don't got it like that. But me, I'm a different story. I got it like that. And for me, I've always used things like the way I look and my body shape and my age and things like that as stuff that is either neutral or a positive thing to me and perceiving things in a positive way. And so, yeah, it's been discouraging. It's been sad for me that so many people were so intent on convincing me that I couldn't do these things. And I really just think that a lot of it comes down to people are very envious when you live the way I live. You guys, the thing is, I could have done anything with my life. Obviously, I'm a young woman and can still do anything. But, my original education, I was a music major in college, but I was also a business and accounting major. I originally started working for a big four accounting firm when I graduated college and could have really, if I had just stuck the path, could have had any kind of a corporate, financial, or accounting job and, been set and, just had like a really good income and people would have respected me for being smart and this and that. And I just came to find like it wasn't the right fit for me. And so I actually left that job and started working at a daycare for like $10 an hour as a preschool teacher's assistant. And, at the time I was like humiliated because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not enough money and it's just not professional enough. And this doesn't show off my brain power enough. But I came to find like none of that really mattered as long as I was happy. And that even in a profession like modeling or singing or whatever it might be, there is a lot of creativity and smarts that go into those things. And the truth is, most people couldn't even do it. Most people couldn't hack. A lot of people would talk to me about becoming a professional singer, but me having been a professional singer, I know what it takes, to get paid for your art. And you really have to be elite, top 1%. Like you have to train a lot, like almost like an Olympic athlete. You have to be professional and competent, and there's just so much that goes into it. So I feel like I could have done anything with my life, and I could have had a more sort of kind of typical, or I guess you could say boring or traditional job. I'm certainly qualified to do those things now, and I could go back to any of those things now. But I just don't choose to. I still choose to do, I guess you could say, fun jobs or like pretty girl jobs or, artistic, creative jobs. And and people, I feel like people kind of look at me like, when are you going to grow up? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? This bartending thing forever? Well, the answer is no, I'm not going to do it forever because I'm segueing into making all of my money from the internet. So I'm moving in that direction, but it's been moving slower probably than I'd like, just because I've been so absorbed. Well, I really enjoyed my career as a bartender. So it was not nothing to be head bartender, so I really enjoyed my career and really enjoyed the growth and the learning. I've learned so many soft skills. I learned, Anthony Bourdain said that. He's like, anyone that's worked in hospitality has the soft skills that like you just could not pay money for. They're priceless. Being able to read people like a book, being able to anticipate people's needs, being able to use your personality in that kind of way. It's, hospitality professionals are incredibly intelligent, creative people with a lot of really interesting soft skills. And often the most dynamic and interesting people I've ever met were in hospitality. And I would also say in the arts in general. And probably the most boring people I ever met were when I was an accountant and in corporate America, bless their hearts. Those types of girls are often jealous of girls like me because secretly everybody wants to be these things. Everybody wants to be a bartender. Even managers that work in hospitality will secretly tell you that they really wish they could have become a bartender because bartenders are just, they're like really, really HBICs, and they are the most talented people typically in, out on the floor. They have a lot of different experience with a lot of different things and very marketable and lucrative and transferable from state to state, country to country skills. So it's not nothing. I've come to find like if you trust your heart and you do the things you want to do in life, even if they seem babyish or not professional enough or, not smart enough or something, somehow in some way the universe like comes in and makes it so beautiful and makes it lucrative and teaches you all the things you need to know. I really believe that life is preparing me and preparing my nervous system for all that I'm meant for. What is all that you are meant for? All that you are meant for is very simply all that you desire. All that you truly, truly desire in your heart is all that you are meant for. And so I have found these different jobs that I've taken on have strengthened my nervous system, especially like learning how to be a performer or a bartender under a lot of, high pressure, fast paced stress. Like I've learned to be very calm, cool, collected, confident, graceful, beautiful, kind, no matter what's going on around me. I mean, these are just amazing soft skills that I know I'm going to take everywhere with me. I remember when I got hired for the role of Lola in an opera. So funny, I don't even remember the name of the fucking opera. I've sung in so many shows, I can't hardly remember the names of them, but the aria is Fior di Giagiolo. Fior di Giagiolo. Something like that. I don't remember the rest of the words. Anyway, so I got cast as Lola, and Lola was the sexy girl. She was the hot chick of the opera. And, I was probably around the same size that I am now. I somewhere around a 14 or so. And so I remember that was a big victory for me at that time because I knew that opera was trying to cast like people that were slimmer or had just a certain look to try to like fit a certain trend. And when they went with me, the very voluptuous, sexy siren goddess that I am, I'm definitely those things. But it was a big confidence builder for me to be like, I just beat out, probably however many hundreds of gals that probably fit the look of this role better than me, but not really, they didn't. Because yeah, I was outside the box. I was different, but I was the sexy siren. And that's actually definitely who I am. I'm definitely a siren personality. I don't mean to be, I don't flaunt it. It's just kind of how it's always been. So So that kind of bleeds out into my work too. So it's really important to be super confident. How does one gain confidence? They gain it by continually taking one step in front of the next. You gain confidence when your haters or your friends who are jealous of you put you down, and you overcome that. You gain confidence when you get a hater on the net, and you just keep going, and at some point you can hardly hear it. You gain confidence when you follow your heart and you're true to yourself, even if it doesn't look cool or smart or mature or professional. Like, you do what your heart tells you to do. And by no means do I mean to exclude any profession. If my heart told me to drop everything and go and be a doctor, you would see me taking my biology classes, studying for, what's it called? What do doctors take? Whatever exams they take, and going to medical school. I would freaking find a way. Okay, girl? If my heart told me to be an attorney, I would be studying for that LSAT and getting my ass ready to move to whatever state I needed to be in to pass law school and to pass my bar exam and to be a lawyer. So this applies to anything and everything. I just find it funny that my heart has guided me in the direction of more of these types of careers. But that's just for now. Like I said, there's people on this planet that might not consider me a young lady, but I consider myself young because I think that we're going to live until like 100 at least. It's like I have decades ahead to explore all of this. And so I just keep following my heart and following my heart down this yellow brick road that always takes me somewhere great. And if my heart wants to do it, it's because it's somehow meant for me in some way. And if it's not really something I want, which means it's not really something that's meant for me, I'll find it won't materialize. But if it's meant for me, which means it's something I really and truly want, it will materialize. And somehow, in some way, I will be the perfect fit for it. Whatever is my look, whatever I bring to the table will somehow be that thing that they were looking for that they didn't know they could find. So I always just tell everyone, like, follow your dreams, don't be afraid. I've lived by that mantra. I used to teach voice students and I used to tell them this stuff, but I used to laugh because I'm like, I don't know if they understand how much I'm practicing what I preach. I think now people can see that years later. I've had so many students that I used to teach voice to, but years later, they can look and see the work I've done and the successes I've had. And it is very obvious that I really do practice what I preach, but I couldn't say it enough. It's to follow your heart, do what you love, and don't be afraid, and bring to everything you do, bring kindness, competency, and hard work. If someone's mean and horrible to you, just ignore them. You don't need to be kind to horrible people. You don't need to be nice to awful human beings. But, if someone's neutral or a good person or has positive qualities that you enjoy, which you can usually find in a decent amount of people in any environment, there's always going to be probably a few bad eggs, but if you can do that, I would just say bringing your personality and kindness and competence, really make it your fucking business to become phenomenal, fantastic, and amazing at whatever you are doing. Because here's the other thing, you guys, is you could be moved out of it relatively quickly. Who knew I'd be bartending for 5 years? I thought I'd be in and out of it quickly. But here I am 5, 6, whatever years later, I can hardly remember. And I'm so grateful I took so seriously the training I had in New York City when I know this sounds so funny to say, but they sent over, I guess the best word I could use is like cocktail experts from fucking London that came in to train us. I worked with Tom Colicchio from Top Chef, and they used to come and they would like teach us just how to stir. And I mean, down to the details. I've had so much training from very like sort of classical and fine dining training and mixology all the way to like casual speed, environments and stuff, like more high pressure, high fast paced environments is what I would say. But just me diving all in and full out on competency in that, no different than I dove all in and full out on the competency of being a classical singer and then a voice teacher and a music entrepreneur. Like, I was just so in the present moment. I was so all in and full out. And I'm so grateful. And I realize how important that is because as you're going through life, life can move you out quicker than you realize. It could be a year from now. I could tell you I'm not bartending anymore. And now all my work I'm doing is like online and in more the area of like modeling and things like that. And it's like, I'm telling you, one of my students asked me the other day, she's like, do you miss being a voice teacher? And I said, honestly, no, I don't miss it. And she's like, why? I'm like, because I was so all in and full out. I lived and breathed for my students for the 10 years I had them. They could freaking call me on speed dial at midnight and I would probably pick up the phone. I mean, I loved my students like they were my own fucking kids. It was insane. And the things that I fucking did for my students and the success that they had, I was so all in and full out on them that once the universe moved me out of that into something completely new that was going to help prepare me for all that I was meant for, I didn't miss it. I didn't long for it. I didn't have to look back at it because I had really done it all the way. I had really experienced every aspect of being a voice teacher that I wanted to. There was nothing to miss or to regret. So I really also live a life of no regrets. I really don't have any regrets because it's like, I promise you, if I want to do it, I've either done it or I've at least tried it. And, there's things I've tried, I discovered I didn't want to do anymore. So I let it go. But I've either done it, I've tried it, or I know it's coming. Sometimes there is something to timing, right? So I know that it's coming and I'm excited about that. So, there's nothing to be jealous of. There's nothing to be sad about. There's nothing to miss when you live this kind of a lifestyle. And I can only tell you, somehow, in some way, the universe has always provided for me abundantly. To be honest, in mostly luxury, comfort, and convenience, and has given me rest when I needed it, and has given me just the right encouragement and help and support just when I needed it. Helped me to overcome, the haters and the naysayers. Like somehow, some way, there was always some form of encouragement there to keep me going on the right path. So life it's very exciting and life shouldn't be boring. And that's how I always know too, it's time to move on, is if I start to get bored. It just means that I've done everything I'm supposed to do there. I've learned everything I'm supposed to learn. It's helped to prepare me for all that I'm meant for in all the right ways. And now it's time to move on. So that's a really good indicator of when, to just keep it moving. So I hope this was encouraging and much love, you guys. Bye.